Okay, I have a 2009 Dodge Caravan. I think it's a Grand Caravan. This vehicle here would not start. So they put, I guess, 3 new starters on there, and it still would not start. I want to show you what I end up having to do in order to get this to start. You know, first, I was doing a lot of testing, and I did some things that end up being unnecessary, and I end up getting it to start. Now, you see here, I had that's the computer. I had that off, and I was testing wires in there, and I had what else? The TIP'em. I had this off and out. So I was testing there. There was a relay. It would click sometime it wouldn't click. It was the starter relay. So I was testing the relay, but the relay was okay. And there's one other thing I tried to do, and that was to jump the starter by putting voltage to the trigger wire down at the bottom. And one thing it stayed on my mind is that I could not get the starter to engage. So I went underneath the van and checked to make sure it had its 12 volts going to the positive starter, which it was. And I took the trigger wire off, turned ignition on to see if it was getting 12 volts. And it would show it, but when I would put the starter on, or put it back on the starter, it would come on and go off. So I didn't know what was going on. Was there something in the starter or what? I had the transmission range sensor connector off there. See if you can see it. Yeah, there it is. I had it off and I was testing wires. This is a 62T transmission. And the reason I did that because it had transmission range sensor rationality. Okay. As you can see, there's a new starter there. They put a brand new starter on 3 times. Didn't solve the issue. So the main wire right there had its 12 volts, but this little trigger wire here, it wasn't working. And there was nothing wrong with it. Even though I tied into it here. First I tried it there, but I tied into it. I even tried to jump it at the relay. I figured there might have been a problem from the relay down, so I tied in here and still couldn't get the starter to go. I ended up taking the starter off, but I'm going to show you what made me do with all this. I had a code, a P0706. Okay, so let's go to what caused me to go through all this mess in the first place. Before I go there, I forgot to show you. I do have this part of the transmission off. The 706 is a transmission range sensor rationality code, P0706. Okay, so that's the transmission range sensor right there. Okay, and I ended up changing that transmission range sensor, and it didn't solve the issue. Okay, so you have those issues sometimes. So I end up having to actually find this problem. Okay, the vehicle wouldn't start, and the transmission range sensor, park, reverse, neutral, drive, was all lit up like this. Okay, now the reason it's lit up like this now because I'm simulating the problem, because I found out what it was, and I'm going to show you what it was. But I want you to see some things that it was doing. 1, it was all lit up, and 2, the starter would click, 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 wouldn't turn over, and then after a while it would not say anything at all. You can turn ignition all the way over, turn it all over, it wouldn't do anything. So the codes that it have now, that I have something disconnected, is this right here. It has P0622, P0706, U110E. Now the codes that it did have was the P0706 and the U110E. which was transmission range sensor rationality and lost ambient temperature message. It did not have the P0622. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the history and let you see what it had. Okay, here is the history here, historical test. In the history, it had P0706 ambient air temperature sensor circuit high stored, and there it was, which was the P0706 transmission range sensor rationality stored, and it had that U110E. PCM powertrain module was lost ambient temperature message. Okay, this is what was stored originally while it would not start. Okay, and also the park reverse neutral drive was all completely lit. Okay, now there's something else that was happening when I went to the live data. It was showing in the live data, when I looked at the transmission range sensor, that the pattern of open, open, close, open, all of that was working according to the way it's supposed to have been. Alright, let me go to top. Now if you see here, it said the Prindle display has a fault. But what was happening, the T4 switch, 41, 42, T3, and T1, the ones at the bottom there, they all were reading like they were supposed to, but that would still say fault. So right now the display is completely lit up right there, but it still was a fault even though these would read correctly. So I'm going to put this in gear now. Let's see if it do. See, they will read. Now that's the problem. That's the correct pattern. Open, 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 closed. That's in drive, I believe. So you got park, which is close, 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 open. Reverse, open, close, open, open. Neutral, close, close, open, close. And drive, open, 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 close. So even though it was showing the correct pattern, why was it still saying there was a Prindle display fault, which it was? Okay, and which it is. So now, and why was it that the car would not start? Well, after doing all of the testing and the things that I was trying to do, as you said, I took the, or as I told you, I took the computer off, I took the tip them off, I jump tested, tried to jump the starter. That stayed on my mind. So what I end up doing is taking the starter out, and I took the starter out, tested it, make sure it was fine, and it was. So there's a shim in between the starter and the transmission housing. I took the shim to the grinder where the wire wheel was and wired the wheel it off, and I put it back on. However, while I was putting it on to make sure that it had good connection, then I looked to the side, on the side where the transmission was, and that's when I decided to do something. And it was tight, but I decided to do something. I'm going to show you what that is. Okay, over here on the driver's side, there's where the computer is, and there's where part of the transmission is a ground right here. Now I have this loose. I have it loose to simulate the problem. This is why the car won't start. It's also why there is a transmission rationality code, which is a P0706. Now it was tight, but what I ended up doing was taking it off. I took this off here, and then I took my wire wheel and I cleaned this with the wire wheel. Then I wire wheeled this part and the opposite side, and then I took this bolt here to the grinder and wire wheeled it, this also, and then I stuck this back on. Okay, now right now the car won't start. or if it's very close, it may start. Now, I don't even have this all the way. Now, it may start because it has some type of connection here, okay, or it may not. But you see here, this is not tight here, okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go over here, see if it start. Still has the things there. Even if I erase them, they'll still be. Let's see what happens. Now I'm turning the key, it won't start. As you can see there. Let me see here. Where's the key? Turn the key, won't start. Okay, and it has the P0706 code. Okay, let me go back over here. Where is it? Okay, so what I'm gonna do, it's a grainy thing. Okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tighten this bolt up. Just tighten it up. Okay, now we're going to see what happens now. Still doesn't want to start. Let me go right back down there. Okay, I know why it didn't start. When I erased the code so it can go back to park, reverse, neutral, drive, I couldn't see that I had the gear selector down in drive. So that's why it didn't start. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna loosen that bolt again, and we're gonna see this go back to the rationality, no rationality. Right now all the codes is eliminated. So let's go here. So what we have, that P0706 is not there anymore. Okay, it's there, no more. So what I'm gonna do, I am going to loosen that bolt up again, and then we're going to see the P0706 pop back up. So let's go back. Where are you there? There you go. Okay, that's loose. Make sure that I don't have much of a connection there. Now, that rationality should come back. Let's see. It may start, it may not start, but let's see what happens with this. Okay, I'm about to try to start it. It won't start. Well, it's trying. Okay, it's still making some kind of connection. So what I'm gonna do, let me go and make less connection. Where are you, boat? Alright, now that's even less connection. Okay, let's see what happens. Still making connection. There it goes. See what happened? You hear the starter go clink. Alright, there it goes. It all lit up. Okay. So, and it should have that P0706 code. Okay. So let's go back to here. We'll back up and reread the codes. There it is. P0706, transmission range sensor rationality, and the U110E, lost ambient temperature message or something. There, those set again. Alright, so again, what happened was that, okay, let me get back over here. That ground was not loose, okay? It wasn't loose. So I just happened to go to that ground because if that starter wasn't getting a connection when I tried to jump it, the only thing I could see that could provide a decent ground for that starter would be that ground that's coming here. Is a very big ground. So as you saw, there was a fault. Okay, it was showing close, close, open, 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 close, close, but it still said a Prindle fault. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to put some dielectric grease on this, and I'm going to tighten that ground up, and we're going to go right back and look and see if the Prindle fault is gone, even though it's still showing open, open, close, open. Okay, so let me tighten this ground up, put some dielectric grease. I already cleaned it off, and I just don't want to make sure it's corroded anymore. And then we'll check to see what the computer says with the signals. Okay, I got it tight. Make sure you get this very tight. It's tight, and I got dielectric grease on there. Now what we're about to do is go inside the van, and I'm gonna have to erase the code, or the Prindle light will stay that way. We erase it, and then we're going to look at the data PIDs and see if that false irrationality reading is still there. That's going to still be lit up until I erase it. Okay, now I can look at it as in park. So this should start. All I do is bump it. Yep, it start. Okay, now I'm gonna go back here. And the codes there, I'm going to erase those. Ignition on. Yes. Yes. Codes have been successfully erased. So, since it's erased, you look up here and you see that it's showing park reverse neutral. Alright. Now, that should bump no problem. Let's see, try again. It did. There you go. I can't start it completely up because I had that front trans pan off. Okay. Alright, now, what we're going to do. I'm going to go over here. Go to live data. And what I want to do is go up to the transmission range sensor PIDs. I passed them. There it goes. So the Prindle display. Alright, you remember this was reading close, 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 open. This will always change, but this had false on here. So now it's not showing false. So let's see what happens when I put this into gear. Let me get inside this van. Ugh. Man, I'm all smashed up in here. Oof. Alright, there we go. There we go. Now, turn ignition on, and I'm going to go and move this. Park. See, reverse. Neutral. Drive. And we're looking at that part there. Neutral. Reverse. Park. Now, everything else, the pattern was right. Close, 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 open. All that was right. It's just that this part here was reading false. Okay, the Prendo display. So now we got that right. The Prendo is doing what it's supposed to do, which here it says park, reverse, neutral, reverse, neutral, drive. Okay, that's working like it's supposed to. If I bump it, it'll move. Pump it, bump, bump. The starter is doing its job. Okay, so what would I tell you on this? Check the grounds. The code P0706 was set. The symptoms were a no start or clicking sound. It would click, click, click. It would not start or wouldn't start at all. The Prendo was lit up with squares on all of the display, and it had a code P0706. Okay, so what does that tell you? Always check the ground. Again, the ground was tight. However, it had corrosion that was separating it from making a good ground. And the only thing I did with that ground was clean it. And they changed 3 starters for this. But hey, I took the transmission range sensor out, changed it. I took the computer out. I took the TIPM out, and I was checking it. But I end up paying attention to that ground because I couldn't jump the starter. If I had done that first, this vehicle would have been gone. So I'm telling you this so that you don't have to make the same mistake. Okay? It was not a range sensor problem. It was a ground problem.